Captain Velthar had seen many strange things in his 200 years of service. He had witnessed stars collapse into themselves. He had watched entire civilizations rise from primitive tribes to space travelers, but nothing had prepared him for what floated before his ship now. The vessel was small, roughly the size of a cargo transport. Its hull was made of metal, actual metal, something no advanced species had used for starships in thousands of years. The design was blocky and inefficient. Primitive engines jutted from the rear, and the whole thing looked like it had been assembled by hand rather than grown in a molecular forge. "Sir, the vessel is not responding to our hails," said Science Officer Nix from his station. The Pellion's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of confusion. "The power readings are minimal. Life support appears to have failed." Velthar leaned forward in his command chair. His scaled fingers drummed against the armrest. "Any identification markers?" "Yes, sir. There are symbols on the hull. The translator is working on them now." Nix paused, tilting his head. "Sir, this language is not in our database. Not even close. The linguistic patterns are completely unknown. That should have been impossible. The Galactic Assembly had cataloged every spacefaring species in the known galaxy. There were 47 member civilizations and countless pre-space societies under observation. How could a species build a starship without anyone noticing? "Scan for survivors," Velthar ordered. The bridge crew worked in silence. The Luminous Dawn was a patrol vessel, designed to monitor the edges of assembly space. They dealt with smugglers and pirates, not first contact situations. This was beyond their training. "Sir?" Nix's voice rose with excitement. "I'm detecting one life sign. It's faint, but it's there, deep inside the vessel in what appears to be a cryogenic chamber." Velthar stood. "Prepare a boarding team. Full containment protocols. We don't know what we're dealing with." 20 minutes later, Velthar led a team of 6 through the airlock connecting the 2 ships. They wore full environmental suits and carried medical scanners. The interior of the alien vessel was dark and cold. Their lights cut through the blackness, revealing narrow corridors lined with pipes and wires. Everything was so crude, so mechanical. "This technology is ancient," whispered Nix, scanning a wall panel. "These are physical circuits. Copper wiring. I haven't seen anything like this outside of a museum." They passed through several chambers. In one they found bodies, 7 of them, still strapped into chairs at various stations. They had died when the life support failed, suffocated in the cold vacuum of space. Velthar felt a pang of sadness. These beings had been alive, had dreamed of exploring the stars, and now they were gone. "The life sign is ahead," Nix said, checking his scanner. "Through that door." The chamber beyond was small. In the center stood a single pod covered in frost. A dim light pulsed on its control panel, the only sign of active power on the entire ship. Through the frosted glass they could see a figure inside. "It's still alive," breathed Velthar, "after all this time." They carefully disconnected the pod from the ship's systems and transported it back to the Luminous Dawn. In the medical bay, Dr. Kale, their chief physician, began the delicate work of revival. "The being inside is carbon-based," Kale reported, his tentacles moving across the scanner displays. "Oxygen breather. Single heart, but with remarkable cellular structure. The bones are incredibly dense. The muscle tissue is more robust than anything I've seen." "Can you wake it?" asked Velthar. "I can, but I'm concerned. This species evolved under high-gravity conditions. The body is designed to withstand significant stress. I'm reading healing factors that suggest rapid regeneration. Captain, this creature comes from a very hostile environment." "Noted. Proceed with revival, but keep security standing by." The process took 3 hours. Slowly, the pod's temperature rose. The frost melted away. The figure inside began to move. Its eyes opened, 2 eyes forward-facing like a predator's. It looked around in confusion, then panic. The being was bipedal, standing roughly 2 meters tall. It had pale skin, dark hair, and wore a blue uniform. Its hands had 5 fingers each. Its mouth opened and sounds came out. Words in that unknown language, desperate and frightened. "Easy," Velthar said, raising his hands in what he hoped was a peaceful gesture. "You're safe. Can you understand me?" The being looked at him with wide eyes. It said something else, still incomprehensible. Its chest heaved as it breathed rapidly. Velthar realized it was terrified. "Get the translator working," he ordered. "Fast." Over the next 3 days, the ship's artificial intelligence worked to decode the language. The being was kept in comfortable quarters, given food and water. It was cooperative but clearly confused and grieving. Sometimes they heard it crying at night. Finally, the breakthrough came. The translator had enough data. "Captain, you can speak with it now," Nix announced. Velthar entered the quarters. The being stood as he entered, posture tense but not aggressive. Velthar touched the translator device on his collar and spoke. "Can you understand my words now?" The being's eyes widened. "Yes. Yes, I can understand you." Its voice was deep, emotional. "Who are you? Where am I? Where is my crew?" "I am Captain Velthar of the Galactic Assembly vessel Luminous Dawn. You are aboard my ship. We found your vessel drifting in space. I'm sorry, but your crew did not survive. The life support failed. You were the only one in cryogenic suspension." The being's face crumpled. It sat down heavily, head in its hands. "They're gone. All of them. Minho, Sora, everyone, gone." Velthar waited, giving it time to process the grief. After several minutes, the being looked up. "My name is Hyuk, Ensign Hyuk of the Earth vessel Persistence. We were on a colony mission. Something went wrong with the main systems. I don't know what happened. I was supposed to wake everyone when we reached the target system." "Earth?" Velthar repeated. "I'm not familiar with that world." "What sector of space are you from?" "Sector? I don't know your navigation system." "We came from the Sol system, third planet from the sun. We call it Earth." Velthar exchanged a glance with Nix. "Sol system? They would need to check the navigation database." "Hyuk of Earth," Velthar said carefully. "I must tell you something important. You are the first of your species we have ever encountered. We thought we knew all the spacefaring civilizations in the galaxy. Your people are completely unknown to us." Hyuk stood up, swaying slightly. "That's impossible. We've been trying to reach the stars for over a century. How could you not know about us?" "That," said Velthar, "is exactly what we need to find out. Tell me about your people. Tell me about Earth." And so Hyuk began to talk. And with every word, Velthar's confusion grew. These humans came from a world of violence and beauty, of suffering and hope. They had nearly destroyed themselves multiple times, but always survived. They had no natural defenses, no special abilities, no advantages. Yet they had built ships and ventured into the deadly void of space anyway. What kind of species did that? What kind of world created such creatures? Velthar had a feeling the galaxy was about to find out, and nothing would ever be the same again. The Assembly Science Station Epsilon 7 was one of the largest research facilities in the galaxy. It orbited a quiet blue star, far from any inhabited worlds. The station housed over 10,000 scientists from dozens of species, all dedicated to understanding the mysteries of life and civilization. Hyuk sat in a white room, electrodes attached to his head and chest. Dr. Kale monitored the readings with growing fascination and horror. Ambassador Threen watched through a transparent wall, his expression unreadable. "Breathe normally," Kale instructed through the translator. "I need to understand your baseline physiology." Hyuk did as asked. He had been cooperative since arriving at the station a week ago. What choice did he have? His crew was dead. His ship was destroyed. He was the only human for what might be thousands of light years. He needed these aliens as much as they seemed to need him. "Remarkable," Kyle muttered, studying his screens. "Your body is designed for a high-gravity environment. I estimate 1.3 times what we consider standard. Your bones are dense enough to survive impacts that would shatter most species. Your immune system is incredibly aggressive, and these healing factors, what about them?" Hyuk asked. "You could survive injuries that would kill most beings. A broken bone would heal in weeks instead of months. Deep cuts close rapidly. Your blood clots almost immediately. It's as if your entire species evolved in a war zone." Hyuk laughed bitterly. "That's not far from the truth." Ambassador Threen entered the medical bay. He was tall and thin, with silver skin that reflected the lights. His species, the Vorn, were known as master diplomats. They could read emotions through subtle chemical signals in the air. "Ensign Hyuk," Threen said, his voice smooth and calm. "We've been analyzing your ship's navigation data. We found coordinates for your home world." Hyuk sat up straighter. "You know where Earth is?" "Yes, and I must confess we are deeply concerned." Threen pulled up a holographic display. It showed a section of space marked in red. "Your planet is located in what we call the Dead Zone. This entire sector was surveyed 6,000 years ago and deemed uninhabitable. The star is old and unstable. The planets are either too hot or too cold. There should be no life there at all. But there is. Hyuk said firmly. Earth is full of life. Billions of people. Animals, plants, entire ecosystems. Then your planet defies all our models of habitability, Kale said. Tell me about Earth. What is it like? Hyuk thought for a moment. How could he explain Earth to beings who had never seen it? Earth is beautiful and terrible, he began. We have vast oceans and high mountains, deep forests and empty deserts. The weather can be gentle or violent. We have earthquakes that destroy cities, volcanoes that cover the sky in ash, storms that tear apart everything in their path, diseases that kill millions, and yet life survives. Life thrives. That sounds horrific, whispered Kale. It's home, Hyuk said simply. It made us who we are. We learned to adapt, to build shelters, to make medicine, to help each other survive. Every generation faced new challenges and every generation overcame them. Threen was silent for a long moment. Tell me about your history. How did your species develop? Over the next several hours, Hyuk talked. He told them about the rise and fall of civilizations, about wars that killed hundreds of millions, about plagues that wiped out a third of the population, about the Industrial Revolution and nuclear weapons, about climate change that nearly destroyed them all. The aliens listened in growing horror. You nearly made yourselves extinct, Threen said. Multiple times. Yes, Hyuk admitted. We're not proud of that. But we learned. We changed. When I left Earth, humanity had finally united under one government. We had stopped fighting each other and started working together. We cleaned up the planet as best we could, and we looked to the stars. Why? Asked Kale. If your world was healing, why risk space travel with such primitive technology? Hyuk's face darkened. Because Earth was dying anyway. The damage was too great. We had maybe 200 years left before the planet became uninhabitable, so we built the colony ships, 12 of them. The Persistence was the first to launch. We were supposed to find a new home and send back coordinates. Then the others would follow. The weight of that statement filled the room. These humans were refugees, desperate survivors of a dying world. They had launched themselves into space with no guarantee of success, no knowledge that other civilizations existed, no backup plan. Your courage is admirable, Threen said quietly, but also terrifying. You took an incredible risk. We had no choice, Hyuk replied. Humans don't give up. Even when things seem impossible, we try. My friend Minho used to say, the only real failure is not trying at all. He looked down at his hands, remembering his second in command. Minho had been his best friend since training. They had dreamed of seeing new worlds together. Now Minho was gone, frozen in the wreckage of the Persistence. That night, the Assembly Council met to discuss humanity. Threen presented his findings to the gathered representatives. This species is unlike anything we've encountered, he told the council. They come from what we would classify as a Class 12 death world. Their bodies are built to survive conditions that would kill most of us within hours. They have no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities, and yet they survive through intelligence and cooperation. Are they dangerous? Asked one council member, a being made of crystalline structures. Potentially, Threen admitted. They have a history of violence, but they also have a strong sense of loyalty and fairness. They help each other. They don't abandon their own. According to Hyuk, when one colony ship left, all of Earth watched and hoped. They were sending away thousands of their best people, knowing they might never see them again. What do you recommend? Asked the council leader. Threen hesitated. This was the most important decision of his career. I recommend we make contact with Earth, but carefully. These humans are desperate. Their world is dying. They have 12 colony ships out there somewhere. If we reject them, if we see them as a threat, they might become one. But if we offer help, if we show them they're not alone in the galaxy, they could become valuable allies. Or they could exploit our kindness, said another council member. Perhaps. Threen agreed. But I've spent time with Hyuk. I've read his emotional patterns. He grieves for his lost crew. He worries about his people. He's grateful for our help. These are not the patterns of a conqueror. They're the patterns of a survivor. The council debated for hours. Some wanted to quarantine humanity. Others wanted to study them more. A few advocated for offering immediate assistance. In the end, they reached a compromise. They would allow Hyuk to send a message home. They would monitor Earth's response. And they would prepare for either friendship or conflict. Hyuk was brought before the council the next day. Threen explained the decision. You may contact your people, he said. We will transmit your message using our quantum relay network. It will reach Earth in approximately 3 weeks. Hyuk's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. Thank you so much. Understand this, Threen continued. We are taking a risk. We don't know how your people will react. We don't know if they will be peaceful or aggressive. But we believe in giving chances. We hope humanity will prove worthy of that chance. We will, Hyuk promised. I swear it, he recorded his message carefully. He explained everything, the discovery, the aliens, the Galactic Assembly. He told them about the Council's offer of contact. He assured them he was safe and well treated, and he added one final line. Come find me. I know the journey is long and dangerous, but I believe in us. I believe we can do this. Don't give up. Never give up. The message was sent. Now all they could do was wait. 3 weeks later, the response arrived. The assembly listened in shocked silence as Admiral Yoon's voice echoed through the council chambers. This is Admiral Yoon of Earth's Unified Defense Fleet. We have received Ensign Hyuk's transmission. We are coming. Expect our arrival in 18 months. We seek peaceful contact and the return of our people. We hope for friendship but are prepared for any outcome. Humanity thanks the Assembly for their care of our lost brother. We will not forget this kindness. The message ended. The council sat in stunned silence. 18 months, whispered Kale. Impossible. It took them 100 years to reach where we found them. How could they cut that time down so drastically? Threen felt a chill run through his body. Because they're adapting, learning, improving, we gave them hope, and now they're doing what humans do best. What's that? Asked the council leader. Achieving the impossible. The Assembly Command Citadel floated in the heart of the galaxy. It was a massive structure, home to the central government that had maintained peace for 10,000 years. Within its walls, 47 civilizations worked together to solve problems and settle disputes. Now, those walls buzzed with nervous energy. Hyuk stood in a luxury apartment overlooking the city-sized station's observation deck. 18 months had passed since his message home. 18 months of waiting, wondering, hoping. The Assembly had been kind to him. They gave him quarters, food, access to their vast libraries. He learned about their cultures, their histories, their technologies, but he was still alone, the only human in a galaxy of aliens. Ambassador Threen entered without knocking. The Vorn diplomat had become something like a friend, though Hyuk sometimes wondered if it was genuine or just careful politics. They're close, Threen said. Our border sensors detected them 2 hours ago. They'll be here within the day. Hyuk's heart raced. How many ships? 12. Threen paused. The same number you mentioned. All 12 colony ships. They're all coming. That's everyone, Hyuk breathed. That's everyone we had left. They brought our entire future with them. Some council members see that as aggressive. They wonder why Earth would send their entire fleet to retrieve one person. Because we don't abandon our own, Hyuk said firmly. And because this is bigger than me. This is first contact. This is humanity's future. Of course they brought everyone. Threen studied him carefully. You really believe your people will be peaceful? I know they will. But peaceful doesn't mean weak. We'll defend ourselves if we have to. I just hope we won't have to. In the council chambers, the debate was fierce. Councillor Prime Zeth, the ancient leader who had guided the assembly for 300 years, listened to all sides. Their approach is aggressive, argued one representative. 12 warships arriving simultaneously. They're making a show of force. They're colony ships, not warships, countered another. Our analysis shows they're filled with civilians. Supplies, equipment for building settlements. These people are desperate, not hostile. Dr. Kale displayed his findings on the main screen. I've been studying human biology and psychology for 18 months. What I've learned troubles me deeply. Humans evolved under extreme pressure. They're natural problem solvers because they had to be. Every challenge they faced, they overcame through creativity and determination. Now we've given them access to our technology through the data we shared with Hyuk. What data? Demanded Zeth. Kale looked uncomfortable. Standard first contact protocols. Scientific principles. Basic physics. We thought we were being helpful. But humans don't just learn, they improve. They innovate. I've been monitoring Earth's transmissions. In 18 months, they've made technological leaps that should have taken centuries. The main display showed technical diagrams. This is their new drive system. They took our quantum relay technology, which we use for communication, and weaponized it into a propulsion system. They combined it with their primitive fusion engines to create something we never imagined. It's crude, it's dangerous, it shouldn't work. But it does. The room fell silent. How is that possible? Asked a council member. Because humans think differently, Kyle explained. We follow tested principles. We build on proven foundations. We're cautious and methodical. Humans are reckless. They try things that shouldn't work, and sometimes those things do work. They fail constantly, but they learn from every failure. It's terrifying, Threen spoke up. I've spent more time with Hyuk than anyone. I've learned about human history. They've survived 6 mass extinctions on their planet. Asteroid impacts that should have killed everything. Ice ages, super volcanoes. They survived because they adapt faster than any species we've encountered. Change is their nature. Then they are dangerous, said the crystalline representative. No, Threen insisted. They're survivors. There's a difference. Dangerous species conquer. Survivor species endure. Humans don't want to dominate the galaxy. They just want a place in it. Zeth finally spoke. His voice was deep and carried the weight of centuries. I've been reviewing our ancient archives. 3 million years ago, before the assembly existed, my people encountered a species from a death world. They were aggressive, unpredictable, and brilliant. We feared them. We tried to contain them. Do you know what happened? No one answered. They disappeared. Vanished from the galaxy within a generation. We never knew why. But our historians believe they felt unwelcome, unwanted. So they left, going beyond the galactic rim into the void. We lost what could have been valuable allies because we saw them as threats instead of partners. He looked around the chamber. I will not make that mistake again. Humanity will be welcomed, not feared. We will offer friendship, not suspicion. If they prove hostile, we can respond. But I refuse to create enemies through our own paranoia. The vote was called. It was closer than anyone expected, but Zeth's influence carried the day. Humanity would be granted provisional status. They would be allowed to meet with the council. Negotiations would begin. The fleet arrived at dawn station time. Hyuk watched from the observation deck as the 12 ships emerged from their impossible journey. They were beautiful in their own way. Scarred metal, patched hulls, mismatched components held together with determination and hope. The flagship was named Indomitable. How very human, Hyuk thought. A shuttle launched from the Indomitable. It docked with the Citadel an hour later. Hyuk waited at the airlock with Threen and a full honor guard of assembly soldiers. The airlock opened. A woman stepped through, flanked by 2 others. She was tall for a human with sharp eyes and close-cropped black hair. Her uniform was crisp and decorated with medals. She walked with absolute confidence. Admiral Yoon. She saw Hyuk immediately. Her stern expression cracked for just a moment, showing relief and joy. Then she was professional again. Ensign Hyuk, she said formally. Good to see you alive and well. Admiral Yoon. Hyuk replied, saluting. Permission to come home? Granted. She turned to Threen. I am Admiral Yoon, commanding officer of humanity's unified fleet. On behalf of Earth and all her people, I thank you for protecting one of our own. We are in your debt, Threen bowed slightly. We are honored to welcome humanity to the galactic community. Though I must admit your arrival has caused quite a stir. I imagine so, Yoon said. It's not every day a new species shows up with 12 capital ships. Behind her, a younger man smiled. Admiral, you're scaring them. Good, Yoon replied. I want them to know we're not helpless. This is Captain Daehyun, my second in command, Yoon introduced. And our chief engineer, Ji-won. Ji-won was small and thin with bright eyes that darted everywhere, taking in every detail of the station around them. This place is amazing, she whispered. The architecture alone suggests gravity manipulation that shouldn't be possible with conventional physics. We should speak with the council, Threen suggested. They're eager to begin negotiations. As are we, Yoon agreed. But first, I need to know, what exactly are we negotiating for? Your place in the galaxy, Threen said simply. Whether humanity will be recognized as a sovereign species. Whether you'll be granted access to assembly space and resources. Whether you'll be welcomed as partners or watched as potential threats. Yoon's expression hardened. We're not a threat to anyone who doesn't threaten us. I believe you, Threen said. But you must understand the galaxy has been at peace for 10,000 years. That peace is built on trust, cooperation, and careful diplomacy. Your arrival changes everything. You bring new ideas, new technologies, new ways of thinking. Some see that as exciting. Others see it as dangerous. What do you see? Asked Hyuk quietly. Threen considered carefully. I see hope. The assembly has become comfortable, perhaps too comfortable. We solve the same problems in the same ways. We've forgotten how to take risks. You humans remind us that growth requires risk. Progress requires failure. Innovation requires courage. We need that reminder, Yoon nodded slowly. Then let's talk to your council. Let's show them that humanity can be trusted, that we're worth taking a chance on. As they walked through the citadel toward the council chambers, Hyuk fell in beside Daehyun. How's Earth? He asked quietly. Daehyun's expression grew sad. Not good. We accelerated the timeline. Everyone who could come came. We left behind about 2 billion people to maintain the planet as long as possible, but we all know the truth. Earth has maybe 50 years left, so this is it. Everything depends on this meeting. Everything, Daehyun confirmed. If the assembly rejects us, we have nowhere to go. We can't go back. We can barely keep these ships running. We need allies, resources, and somewhere to live. We need this to work, it will, Hyuk said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. It has to. They reached the council chambers. The doors opened, revealing the assembled representatives of 47 civilizations. Thousands of eyes turned to watch as humanity walked into history. Admiral Yoon stood tall and proud. She looked at each council member in turn, showing no fear, no hesitation. Members of the Galactic Assembly, she began. My name is Admiral Yoon. I speak for humanity, for Earth, for every man, woman, and child who dreams of a future among the stars. We come in peace. We come seeking friendship. We come hoping to contribute to this galaxy as partners, not conquerors. The negotiations lasted 3 days. 3 days of talking, arguing, explaining, and hoping. Admiral Yoon presented humanity's case with military precision. She showed recordings of Earth, its beauty, and its decay. She explained their history without hiding the dark parts. She was honest about humanity's flaws while highlighting their strengths. The council listened. Some were sympathetic. Others remained skeptical. On the 3rd day, everything changed. Hyuk was in the observation lounge with Daehyun when the alarm sounded. Red lights flashed throughout the station. Emergency broadcasts echoed through the corridors. All personnel to alert stations. Unknown vessels approaching. All personnel to alert stations. Daehyun's face went pale. That's not us. All our ships are accounted for. They ran to the command center. The main display showed a tactical view of the surrounding space. The 12 human ships floated in formation near the station. But from the opposite direction, 3 assembly warships were approaching fast. Admiral Yoon was already there, arguing with a group of council members. This wasn't authorized, Threen was saying. The council didn't approve military action. Commander Tark took initiative, replied the crystalline representative coldly. He believes humanity poses a threat. He's moving to disable your ships as a precautionary measure. Disable? Yoon's voice was ice. That's an act of war. It's a security precaution, the representative insisted. On the tactical display, the 3 assembly warships took up attack positions around the human fleet. They were larger and more advanced than anything humanity had ever built. Their weapon systems powered up, energy readings spiking on the sensors. Ma'am, Daehyun said quietly. Orders? Yoon stared at the display. Hyuk could see her mind working, calculating options. If she fought back, humanity would be branded as hostile. If she surrendered, they would be seen as weak. She touched her communicator. All ships, this is Admiral Yoon. Do not power weapons. Do not take aggressive action. But do not shut down engines either. Stay alert, Admiral, came a voice over the comm. It was Captain Sora, commanding one of the colony ships. They're targeting our drive cores. If they fire, they'll cripple us, I know. Hold position. On the view screen, Commander Tark's face appeared. He was a Vorn like Threen, but older and harder. Human vessels, you will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with force. Yoon stepped forward. Commander Tark, we are in assembly space under invitation from the Council. Your actions are not authorized. I don't need authorization to protect the galaxy from potential threats, Tark replied. You will comply. We will not. The tension in the command center was suffocating. Counselor Prime Zeth had been summoned and was rushing to stop this disaster, but he was too far away. Minutes mattered now, seconds. Tark's expression hardened. Then you leave me no choice. Target their lead ship. Fire a warning shot across their bow. One of the assembly warships opened fire. A brilliant beam of energy lanced through space, passing just meters in front of the Indomitable. Captain Daehyun, Yoon said calmly. Show them what humanity can do. Daehyun smiled grimly. Yes, ma'am. He took manual control of the Indomitable from the command center, overriding the ship's automated systems. His hands flew across the controls, inputting commands faster than should have been possible. The Indomitable suddenly accelerated directly toward the 3 assembly warships. Alarm screamed. The assembly crews expected the human ship to veer off, to retreat, to do anything sensible. Instead, Daehyun aimed straight at the lead warship at full speed. They're going to ram us, someone shouted on the assembly channel. At the last possible second, Daehyun cut the engines and fired all maneuvering thrusters simultaneously. The Indomitable spun sideways and slid past the warship with less than 10 meters of clearance. As it passed, he reignited the main engines at full power. The wash of energy and radiation from the human ship's primitive fusion drives caught the assembly warship broadside. Shields flared and failed. Systems went haywire. The warship tumbled out of control, its crew struggling to regain stability. The other 2 assembly warships moved to intercept, but Daehyun was already moving again. He didn't fight like the assembly expected, with careful positioning and calculated firing solutions. He fought like a human, aggressive, unpredictable, willing to take insane risks. He brought the Indomitable around in a tight loop that should have torn the ship apart. He suddenly decelerated when the assembly ships expected acceleration. He used every trick, every desperate maneuver that human pilots had invented over centuries of atmospheric combat. The assembly crews couldn't predict him. Their computers couldn't calculate his next move because his moves didn't make sense. He was flying by instinct and intuition, not logic and algorithms. Within 3 minutes, all 3 assembly warships were damaged or disabled. Not destroyed. Daehyun had been careful not to kill anyone. But they were out of the fight. The command center was silent. Everyone stared at the tactical display in shock. How? Whispered the crystalline representative. How is that possible? Because you fight with your minds, Yoon said quietly. We fight with our hearts. Counselor Prime Zeth arrived moments later, furious and breathing hard. Tark, what have you done? I was protecting the assembly. Tark protested over the comm. You nearly started a war, Zeth roared. You fired on guests under council protection. You violated a dozen laws. You are relieved of command immediately. He turned to Yoon. Admiral, on behalf of the assembly, I apologize. This was not authorized and does not represent our intentions. Yoon nodded slowly. I accept your apology. But understand this, we didn't start this fight, but we finished it. We don't want to be your enemies. But we won't be your victims either. Noted, Zeth said, and respected. Later that evening, Hyuk found Daehyun in the pilot ready room of the Indomitable. The captain was reviewing his flight data, analyzing every second of the engagement. That was incredible flying, Hyuk said. Daehyun shrugged. It was necessary. If we'd shown weakness, they'd never respect us. Now they know we can defend ourselves. You could have gotten everyone killed, but I didn't. Daehyun looked up. That's what humans do, Hyuk. We walk the edge between success and disaster. Sometimes we fall, but usually we make it across. Why did you become a pilot? Daehyun smiled. When I was a kid, I watched old videos of the first moon landing. Men in primitive suits, standing on another world, planting a flag. Everyone said it was impossible. Too dangerous, too expensive. But they did it anyway. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to prove that humans could do impossible things. And today I proved it again. The next morning, the council reconvened. The mood was different now. The skeptical representatives were quieter. The friendly ones were more confident. Threen took the floor. Yesterday's incident, though regrettable, proved something important. Humanity can defend itself. They have skills and capabilities we don't possess. They think differently, fight differently, but they also showed restraint. Captain Daehyun could have destroyed those ships. He could have killed thousands. He didn't. He disabled them without causing casualties. Dr. Kale displayed new data. I've been studying the human ships. Their technology is fascinating. They combined our quantum relay principles with their fusion engines in a way that shouldn't work theoretically. But practically it's more efficient than our pure quantum drives in certain situations. They're teaching us new things already. Engineer Jiwan was invited to speak. She stood nervously before the council. I'm not a diplomat, she began. I'm just an engineer. But I've spent 18 months studying your technology from the data Hyuk sent home. You've achieved amazing things. Perfect things. But perfection has a cost. It makes you cautious. It makes you slow to change. And humans aren't cautious? Asked a council member. We can't afford to be, Jiwan replied. When your world is dying, you don't have time for perfection. You build something that works and improve it later. You try things that might fail because failure is better than doing nothing. You take risks because the alternative is extinction. She pulled up schematics. Our drive system is crude and dangerous. It breaks down constantly. It requires 3 times as much maintenance as your drives, but we built it in 18 months with limited resources, and it got us here. That's what humanity brings to the galaxy. The ability to do impossible things with insufficient resources and no time. The council deliberated for hours. Finally, Zeth called for a vote. All in favor of granting humanity provisional membership in the Galactic Assembly. Hands, tentacles, and various appendages rose throughout the chamber. Hyuk held his breath, counting. 32 in favor. 15 opposed. It was enough. Zeth stood. By the authority granted to me by this council, I hereby recognize humanity as the 48th member species of the Galactic Assembly. Welcome, people of Earth. Welcome to the galaxy. Admiral Yoon stood and bowed deeply. On behalf of humanity, I accept. We will honor this trust. We will prove ourselves worthy partners, and we will never forget that you gave us hope when we had nowhere else to turn. Hyuk felt tears streaming down his face. Daehyun was grinning. Even the normally stoic Sora was smiling. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had found a place among the stars. That night, Hyuk stood at the observation deck with Threen, watching the human ships. 6 months passed since humanity joined the assembly. 6 months of integration, negotiation, and discovery. The galaxy watched humanity closely, trying to understand these strange new members. The Grand Assembly Hall filled with representatives from all 48 member species. Today was the formal summit where humanity would present their vision for the future. Every major media network in the galaxy was broadcasting the event. Billions watched across thousands of worlds. Hyuk stood backstage with Admiral Yoon, Captain Daehyun, and Captain Sora. They had all been promoted to diplomatic positions while maintaining their military ranks. Hyuk was now officially Ambassador Hyuk, though he still felt uncomfortable with the title. Nervous? Sora asked. She was the commander of the science vessel Endeavor, and had spent the past months working with assembly scientists. Terrified, Hyuk admitted. Everything we've accomplished could fall apart in the next hour. It won't, Yoon said firmly. We have something they need. They're just starting to realize it. The call came. They walked onto the stage. The assembly hall was massive, designed to hold thousands of beings of different sizes and shapes. The air was filled with dozens of different atmospheres, separated by invisible force fields. Translation devices hummed, converting every word into hundreds of languages simultaneously. Counselor Prime Zeth welcomed them warmly. Ambassador Yoon, you requested this special session. The Council and the Galaxy are listening. Yoon stepped forward. Behind her, holographic displays came to life, showing images and data. 6 months ago, humanity was given a chance. We were welcomed into this great assembly, despite our primitive technology and violent history. Today, I want to show you what humanity has accomplished in that time and what we can offer the galaxy. The first image showed a barren world. This is Tayson 3, a planet in assembly space that was surveyed and rejected for colonization 800 years ago. Too cold, too dry. Thin atmosphere, classified as uninhabitable. The image changed to show the same world now dotted with structures. This is Tayson 3 today. 3,000 humans live there now. We built underground habitats. We're processing the soil to release water. We're seeding the atmosphere with oxygen-producing bacteria. In 50 years, this world will be livable. Murmurs rippled through the hall. The assembly has hundreds of rejected worlds, Yoon continued. Planets that don't meet the strict standards for colonization. We can use them. We can transform them. We can turn wastelands into homes. Dr. Kale stood to speak next. I've been working with human medical teams for 6 months. Their approach to medicine is revolutionary. They don't just treat symptoms, they force the body to heal itself. They use aggressive immunotherapy, genetic editing, even controlled infections to trigger immune responses. It's dangerous. It's messy. But it works. He displayed medical data. 3 assembly species suffer from degenerative genetic conditions we've been unable to cure for centuries. Human doctors proposed solutions within weeks. Risky solutions, yes, but when the alternative is watching your children die, risk becomes acceptable. A representative stood. Have these treatments been tested? Yes, Kale replied. On humans first as volunteers, then on animal models, then on willing patients from the affected species. The success rate is 70%. 70%? The representative said. That's terrible. It's 70% better than 0, Kale countered, which is what we had before. Captain Sora took the stage next. I'm a scientist, not a speaker. So I'll be brief. Human creativity is chaos. We try things that shouldn't work. We combine technologies in ways that violate established principles. We fail constantly, but our failures teach us things your successes never could. She pulled up technical diagrams. This is a power generation system we developed with Pelion engineers. It uses quantum entanglement paired with human chemical battery systems. It's inefficient by your standards, but it's simple, cheap, and easy to maintain. We can deploy it on frontier worlds where your advanced systems are impractical. More examples followed. Hybrid technologies. Creative solutions to old problems. New approaches to ancient challenges. Then Ambassador Threen stood. I've known humans longer than anyone in this hall. I've studied them, argued with them, learned from them. And I want to share something I discovered. He displayed a historical record. 3 million years ago, my people encountered another Death World species. We feared them. We tried to isolate them. They vanished, leaving us poorer for their absence. I believed we should not repeat that mistake with humanity. But I was wrong about something. I thought humanity's value was in their resilience, their creativity, their determination. And yes, those things are valuable. But that's not humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. Then what is? Asked Zeth. Hope? Threen's voice grew passionate. The assembly has been comfortable for 10,000 years. We've solved all our major problems. We have peace, prosperity, and stability. But we've lost something along the way. We've lost the drive to push beyond our limits. We've lost the courage to attempt the impossible. We've lost hope that things can be better than they are. Humanity has never lost that hope. They came from a dying world knowing they might fail. They launched themselves into space with primitive technology, knowing they might die. They continued pushing forward even when everything seemed hopeless. Because humans believe, they truly believe that tomorrow can be better than today. That belief is contagious. Since humanity joined the assembly, I've seen it spread. Scientists are proposing bolder experiments. Engineers are attempting more ambitious projects. Explorers are venturing into regions we'd written off as too dangerous. Humanity has reminded us what we forgot, that progress requires risk and risk requires hope. The hall fell silent. Representatives looked at each other, considering Threen's words. Captain Dahyun spoke last. I'm a pilot. I fly by instinct and feel. I'm not good with words, but I want to tell you a story. When humans first achieved flight, we did it with wood and fabric. The first plane flew for 12 seconds. 12 seconds that changed everything, because we proved it was possible. Once we knew it was possible, nothing could stop us. Within decades, we were flying faster than sound. Within a century, we reached the moon. That's what humanity does. We prove things are possible. And once something is proven possible, we make it inevitable. The final presentation began. Yoon gestured to the display, which showed an image of Earth. This is our homeworld. It's dying. We've slowed the process, but we can't stop it. In 40 years, Earth will be uninhabitable. 2 billion people remain there, maintaining the planet as long as possible so the rest of us could come here. We're asking the assembly for help, not charity. We'll work for every resource we receive. We'll contribute everything we can, but we need ships, supplies, and time to evacuate our remaining people. Before anyone could respond, Sora stepped forward again. But we discovered something that changes everything. During our survey of rejected worlds, we found something on a planet called Dehan 1. The display showed ruins. Ancient, weathered, but clearly artificial structures. These ruins are 3 million years old. We found writing inside. It took us months to translate, but we did it. Sora's voice shook with emotion. This was a base camp, an exploration outpost, and the logs mention Earth. The hall erupted in shocked murmurs. 3 million years ago, another species visited our solar system. They surveyed Earth and they fled. Sora displayed the translated text. The logs describe Earth as the most hostile inhabited world we have ever encountered. They documented massive volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, extreme weather, and evolutionary pressures beyond anything they'd seen. They called Earth the Crucible World and predicted that any species evolving there would either die out or become uniquely adapted to survival under impossible conditions. Seth leaned forward. This is verified? By 5 independent research teams, Kyle confirmed. 3 human and 2 assembly. The ruins are genuine. The timeline matches. The text is authentic. Threen stood again. This explains everything. Humanity isn't just another species. They're the product of the harshest evolutionary environment in known space. They survived what killed countless other species on Earth. They survived what drove an advanced civilization to flee. They are, quite literally, built to survive the impossible. The revelation settled over the hall like a weight. Representatives whispered to each other, recalculating their understanding of humanity. Finally, the vote was called. Not just for aid to evacuate Earth, but for full membership status, removing the provisional designation. All in favor of granting humanity full membership status and authorizing emergency assistance for Earth evacuation? This time the vote wasn't close, 43 in favor. 5 opposed. Akzeth stood, his ancient eyes shining. Humanity, you have proven yourselves beyond any doubt. You are granted full membership in the Galactic Assembly. Your people will be evacuated. Your refugees will find homes, and your contributions will shape the future of this galaxy. Admiral Yoon's composure finally cracked. Tears streamed down her face as she bowed deeply. Thank you. Thank you all. Humanity will never forget this day. We will honor your trust with every breath, every action, every generation. The hall erupted in applause, or the various species equivalents,